So aDrive, Dan, what do you think some of the biggest problems are that Pokemon has right now?
Oh man, I think that's a great question. I think the first thing for me is figuring out what this identity is going to be moving forward, right? Like we've explored this open world now, and they've kind of, dove down a few different pathways of that. And obviously, I think one of the sore thumbs that sticks out is just the performance of these games. I know for some people that's not a big factor, but I know for some it's a huge factor, right? Like I know that I can't even shiny hunt in Scarlet and Violet half the time because it hurts my head to play the game because of frame rate.
Wow.
That's not an exaggeration. Like it actually hurts. Like
I know exactly what you mean.
I don't want to sit there for 5 hours trying to find a shiny running through Tauros that are charging after me at 7 frames per second. And I'm not trying to hate. It's just the reality of the experience. So
there's a lot of coping going on in the community for sure. Like even myself, I felt like I'm someone who's like, I don't care about how it looks. It's like whether or not it's fun. But I think in Scarlet and Violet's situation, I feel like the way it looks, the way it plays actually hinders how much fun you can actually have with it, right?
Yeah, and it's crazy too when I think about that, because I was the guy, like I said earlier, and I'm not afraid to admit it, I was all like, yes, open world, yes, give me this, and I feel like so much life got sucked out from that alone. These towns feel almost soulless in a way.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like the interactions are meaningful. The fact that I can just skip every trainer pretty much and just roam around. Yeah, there's some convenience afforded to that, but there's also like I feel like it takes away a little bit of kind of what Pokemon was. So I think for me, like understanding what they're gonna do moving forward, I don't think they go back, right? I think this is what Pokemon is now. I think we may see this spin up here with Legends EA, and we might see them experiment a little bit, but I don't see them going back to like typical routes or anything like that. I think that they're in this style game, at least in terms of new. When we look at a Gen 10 or whatever, right? So I just hope that they're able to fix some of those hiccups and kind of breathe a little bit more life into it. With all that being said, though, right? Like, there's a lot of wins in Scarlet and Violet, in my opinion. I do like the Paradox forms. Not all of them are my favorite designs. I much prefer the Scarlet ones to the Violet ones. Even though I was Team Violet, right? Like, I thought Miraidon was awesome, but like, I get their names mixed up. The purple guy was awesome.
That's right. You're right.
When I look at the different Paradox forms, from the future, I thought a lot of them were, when I look at some of the Scarlet ones, I'm like, those are pretty sick, right?
Yeah.
So I think there's some wins there. There's some kind of fallback there. I think the story was solid. There were parts of the story that I really liked. There were parts of the story that I thought was kind of but that's Pokemon in general. So at the end of the day, like I recognize that they're trying to appeal to like a really, really big audience. There's a lot of people out there who just pick up Pokemon, they play it for their 20 or 30 hours a year, they put it down, and that's really their core market, right? Like that person who's gonna pick up a game, play it for the 30 hours, put it down, maybe pick up a plushie or some cards here or there or whatever. Like that probably makes up like 95% of the customer base, if we're being honest. And some people may not even beat the game, right? Some people probably buy the game and don't even beat it, right? So the things that I want, the things that I look for may be very different. So I think the biggest question is like, what is that direction going to look like for the franchise? I'm just excited that it seems as though we're going to get something a little bit different than that, because I really want to see what they do with it.
Yeah.
Because even though Legends Arceus was scary territory, this unknown entity of a game that we really didn't know what to expect, like I said, it was probably my most enjoyable experience playing the game.
I think it brought me back to the series. Like I had a lot of mistrust after, Let's Go, Scarlet and Violet. What is it? Sword and Shield.
Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl.
Yeah, Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. Like Sword and Shield actually wasn't so bad, but there was a lot of complaints. Dexit had just happened. I was like, what is happening to this beautiful series? And Legends, just like, people throw around the word soul a lot, even when they're not referring to SoulSilverArt. And I think Legends Arceus, it's full of soul. It just feels like a passion piece, right? There's a lot of intention, right?
It feels alive.
It, there's like a narrative that you're playing, and you're, it's like I feel like you could feel the creators, the artists behind it, crafting this thing. They're like, we want you to feel like this.
That you're this stripped down world, like at the beginning of time, essentially. Not necessarily like exactly, but you know what I mean? Like
That's the vibe.
Of this world. That is such an awesome setting to be put in as a Pokemon, lifelong Pokemon fan. This idea that I'm here at the beginning, helping kind of craft the future of the world. And when I go out into the wild, there is this risk. There is this scare that I'm gonna run into this giant Rapidash that's gonna take me out.
Yeah.
And obviously, now that we, if I were to go open it up right now and leave Jubilife, I'd be like, oh, I'll just walk past this thing. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, sure.
Something that was exciting. It was different. It was something that we really didn't see out of Pokemon before. even though they did have like the alphas and stuff or whatever they were called in
yeah.
Did they have the alphas? No, they had the
The totems.
the statics and the totems in Alola, and then the statics in Sword and Shield.
Oh yeah, what it was called.
But they did it in a much different capacity in Legends Arceus, and I think it added a lot to it. And it was fun to shiny hunt those alphas as well. I did enjoy that. So
yeah.
And then they mixed up the formula with the gyms too. So I think there's a lot of room to explore. And I know I've seen a ton of theories about what ZA could be in the catacombs under the city, and where could we be going? What are the mysteries we're gonna find out with Volcanion, or where's the tie-in gonna be here?
Yeah, there's a lot of rumors out there.
There's so many pieces that we
a lot
might
of theories.
See. So I feel like I'm trying to follow Kingdom Hearts at this point because there's so many things going on now, right? But that's a game I love, but can't even keep up with it anymore.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fun avenues to explore. So I just hope that they're not afraid to experiment, because I think that's when we've seen, in my opinion at least, some of their best work.
Yeah. So I don't know if you guys have anything else to say on that. I'm gonna pivot us a little bit.
You're good. Pivot.
Yeah, you can if on time. But I was just thinking about like just Scarlet and Violet. I don't know, my experience wasn't like that, so I feel like people had different experiences. I do agree.
That's every game.
I do agree about the soul amount that they put into it. I feel like they took on too much, if that makes sense. And I don't know if like open world continues on past Gen 10 or 11. I feel like you're right, they'll stick with it for a little bit, but if it doesn't stick, like if we keep getting games like this, I feel like they'll try to mix it up.
Man, that just it's like, we say if it doesn't stick, but like when you look at the sales numbers,
it's stuck. Yeah,
it's true.
So again, when I feel like it's so important when I talk about this, at least, right? Like I always try to emphasize, like, one, I'm really biased, and two, I'm definitely not the target audience, right? At this point. So you're right though. Everyone's gonna have their own experience, and that's okay too. And I think one of the things that I would like to see more of in the community is just an open, and maybe just in general, is just an openness
in the world.
Because we're all gonna have a different experience, right? Like,
absolutely.
My game might have lagged a ton, and it really crushed my hopes, and yours might have played smoother because you had a better Switch than mine, or whatever.
My game never.
I got a better cartridge, I guess, because I didn't have any issues except for when we got to the Indigo disc, or even Kitakami was like a little bit. But Indigo disc was like.
See, but what make of Switch do y'all have? Because like I remember we've had
OLED
discussions before.
I've got the OLED as well.
Okay, see, I don't have an OLED.
I'm not using the OLED. I've got the
Me
Mario
neither.
one.
There it is.
The Mario Nintendo Switch.
Pay to play. Pay to win.